Hello, everybody. I'm Colin Hobson, and you'll have Johan doing the first part and then me on the second part. So, Johan, why don't you get started?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yes, so we're going to be looking at Enlighten 5. So there's a few base things. So the map guide 4, we've done an official release of that. So we've done all the testing, everything is working, etc. So with the map guide open source, that we are taking more control over the whole deployment process and the backend management of it, etc., to make sure everything is working. So yeah, we'll be looking at the new technology, updated user interface. So that's a fairly important thing. There's quite a few new, fresh look and feel, etc. How do we get our users used to that type of environment? A big focus for us has been on the speed of the system and then also to supply base maps. So going to all the local government areas and with the speed base maps. We've had a look at the whole user interface, so the improve the show info to be able to easily get to all the related data, added new functionality, and then also making sure that the upgrade process is easy. So if you've got an existing Enlighten site, it's not going to be a massive, we've got to redo everything. Your existing environment will just work. So a few key aspects. We're using a new core technology with the UI, and I think in the next slide, we'll have a look at that. We're using material design, which is the Google design language. So it's a new clean interface, new icons, etc. So that you can see. So there in the background, so the first time your users go into the map, that is the interface that they'll see. So they'll see all the new icons, etc. You go in with a clean screen, so to show as much of the data as possible in terms of the map. Don't hide the data, but then also doing a more flexible interaction with the data. So the background maps that you can see there can be OpenStreetMaps. We also have Mapbox in there. There's both the Microsoft imagery, Bing images, as well as the Esri open source imagery for the whole world. It's also provided then out of the box. In terms of speed, the site and the internal process, we've optimized the whole environment a lot, so speed is a lot better. In terms of vector data, so we do support XYZ tile sets, so some of the data you can actually go and generate into tile sets, and that speeds up the process. So the world is moving on in terms of technology. That's always the case. So the old map guide was Ajax. OpenLayers was available, but we haven't implemented that. That was quite a big job to do. There is now a React viewer. So what is React? React is a framework or a programming language framework, which is one of the more modern ones that we have, that the viewer is implemented on. So it still consumes the existing layers, the setup that you have, etc. But it's then a totally new, modern, fresh framework from a development programming point of view to ensure that the process that you follow and what you see, etc., it is based on the latest technology and that it will be supported in the long term. So it's not based on an outdated technology. In terms of design languages, there's a lot of them that's available. There's lighting design from Salesforce, there's Polaris, there's material design from Google, Fluent design from Microsoft, the Apple design language. Atlassians have got their own one, etc. So there's a lot of them that we have investigated. And we have decided to standardize on the Google Material Design language within Enlighten. Some of the reasons for that in terms of the design language is the amount of icons that's available out of the box. Now we've added some of those, some new icons, etc., where some of the icons out of the box wasn't available. but it is modern, it is flexible, it is adaptable, and that's why we have adapted the design language. So, Colin, over to you.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So just about the new map guide and the React viewer, we've actually been working on it probably even close to 2 years that we've been tracking on that, Johan. I don't know if you can remember, but what I'm saying there is it's new now, but for us, we've had a pretty heavy cycle that we've gone through to check everything, looking at all of the ins and outs. We've been running a number of customers as early adopters for probably the last 4 or 5 months already. And those would typically be customers where we have, if you look here, you'll see a bunch of little Enlighten icons. And those are essentially managed services customers. So here's one of them, and I'll run through this a little bit as well. So let's log in. So the first thing about Enlighten is, yes, we've changed certain structural things, but I think those are a great improvement. But if you know Enlighten, essentially, if I'll tell you 3 or 4 things, you'll be good to go. The impact on the users has been minimal. Essentially, everything else is the same. The back end and the settings and all of that's the same. So this is your landing page for those that are not using SSO. With a couple of things here, you can update your text in here, no plugins required, but you'll see we've actually got a little document here for the setup and browser and set your cache settings and stuff like that. It's fairly insignificant. There's a getting started video, so you can actually go and look at it. The idea being, and I put that video in the task panel as well. So when you're inside of Enlighten, you can run that video. And the reason for that is folks can self-serve. If you see the demo of a product and then 3 weeks later you come back, you go, well, wait a minute, how did they get that thing? And so there's the video so people can go look at it. And once again, of course, it's simply a hyperlink within the application. So you could put your own video there, but we're providing this one as default, and it has a document that goes with it. And we host that on Vimeo, so it just needs an internet connection. The PDF document is a full document. It's more than script. It's what's in the video plus all the screenshots. So for those that don't want to do it via a video, you can go look at the PDF. The user and help within Enlighten, I'll click on it here. It's the same as if you click on help inside the task panel. We've put all of the help online, and so it goes straight there. You open the Enlighten user guide, and you're going to see the same kind of stuff. Toolbars is where things are different. So if you go into the help here, you can go and look through, and you'll see there's a whole lot of help and documented stuff with quick links and all of that. So I'm not going to get into that, but just understand that all of that is even further. And so if you want to know what an icon does, these are the new icons. There's the description, and you can run straight through to that. So now let's go and look at it. So the logins, when you do a deployment, by the way, all your Enlighten logins, permissions, etc., all going to be carried over. They'll be the same. No change required on your part. And I'm just going to log in here. So this is a hosted Enlighten for a customer. So first thing you're going to see, actually, if I zoom out, you'll notice that we're getting the OpenStreetMap stuff, and you'll see that as you cache it, if I zoom back in, it's immediate, pretty much. And then in this instance, the water and sewer, the green and blue, are loaded as vectors, so the same stuff, but the performance on that is better than it was before. And then you've got these icons. The one thing you'll notice is the task pane. Now, the very first time you come into Enlighten, we actually started up with the task pane active. But what we've tried to do is make it so that the icons are not a big thing. And so in here on this task pane, you'll notice that it has its own little toolbar, so you can reset back to the task pane. There are user settings, and just for purposes of this demo, what I'll do quickly is just set it up to use large icons so you can see them nice and easily. So here's the icons in the system. The icon toolbar on the left here is fixed. You can't get rid of that, but you can get rid of everything else. And there's a couple of ways of doing it just to make it easy. So we've put in this toolbar is your commonly used functions. The task pane, you can close it. You don't actually need it unless you want it. So there's things you can get to. A couple of things for the admin folks. I see some of you folks are also looking at that. But the admin, icon is there. It's no longer, populating your whole big top end of the system. As admins, you'll know to go in and find it there. So you can do that. We've also split the toolbars so that this toolbar is between this toolbar and the core toolbar. You pretty much can do most everything for the standard straightforward user. There is an advanced toolbar, so you'll notice the network trace, for example, is on the advanced toolbar. That's down there. These toolbars are you can move them around, put them wherever you want, and also you can use the show hide function. Also notice that anything that's active is green, so that just shows you what's active. So I can do show or hide, and what that's going to do is basically just clean my screen, and if I go hit it show again, it returns all of the items that I had there before, right? So you can go in and use that. Okay, so let's get down to some important bits. On the Enlighten one, there's all the usual suspects: search, you got the tooltips there, quick plot, end plot, select, and deselect. So remember, in Enlighten 3, you had to know what these icons looked like. You had to know that deselect was a pencil, sort of a set of 4 squares with a little pencil upside down with an eraser. I think these are a little more useful. The advanced form, you had to really, if you taught anyone Enlighten 3 or 4, you had to teach them kind of like driving a manual or a stick shift for the US folks, but driving a manual. You need accelerator, brake, clutch, and this is it. So in Enlighten, you had to select something, you had to open the advanced form, so you had to know where that was, and you had to deselect stuff. And then you had to repeat all that over and over. So it was really a little sort of obfuscated to get to information about anything. And so what we've done is we've moved the advanced form to the show info button. And so it's show advanced information. And that essentially is then the advanced form, but we've beefed that up big time and made it an interactive listing all the time. So you can actually come in on top of anything here. You can open this show info form without having anything selected. Remember before it would have said, sorry, you need to select something. Okay. And so with that, then you can come in and select something, either one thing or many things, no different. And I'll just zoom in a little bit there. It's the same advanced form with a couple of caveats. You'll notice it has its own toolbar. So now the select and deselect are right here. The interesting part is we made this an interactive with the map. So if I go and click on, so this is gravity pipes, I'll click on another one. You'll notice the subtle, so my select color is a funny green here. Maybe I should just change that quickly. Yeah, we can change it. So the user options here, all those options that you had before, essentially the same thing. Let's go in and set this color to something or something else. Maybe, I don't know, a yellow like that. And you can set transparency there. That has always been there, right? So we'll use that as our selection color. We'll close that. You can see these guys are now selected. And the selected ones, as you scroll through them, it is flipping a red highlight to the individual item. So this was always a problem. You never quite knew in this list which one of these you were on. You were right there. You could also go in, if you clear the selection and you just click on something on the map, then obviously the show info form pops straight up and you're good to go on that, right? So it's now, one-to-one, straight up and interesting. Also, if so this is really a big thing. We wanted the user to be able to learn from this, and as they go onto any feature, they can actually go and get that information. So what we've done also then is set this advanced form. So this advanced form is the same. It's still the tree, list, and detail view, and all the drill down. So this is a simple data set. It's just straight up standard tables, but you can have all of those tabs in there all the time. This toolbar here has a couple of little hidden things. You can save your selection here, so go manage selections, have saved and return back to them. You can zoom previous, so I can come in here and actually go there and zoom previous and then back, so it'll actually go and zoom in and out on the map for those guys.
It's not
You can,
the zoom. It's changing the selection. So it's the previous selection and the
sorry,
deselect.
you're right, I'm confused. And I noticed, I saw, wait a minute, why is it a red thing? So we do have zoom previous and next up here, sorry. on the toolbar, same as we had before. This is actually the selection set here, where I can go back to that selection set and save it, etc. Also, I can basically detach this. So what you'll notice is this window is stuck within the map context. But we know the advanced form is rather large, and most people have two screens. So you can do this and pop this out. So now this is like the old advanced form, and you'd say browser window, and it works the same. You still got the toolbar on it, but I can move this off my screen, and now if you were not, you can't see my second screen, but it's right there, and it remains interactive, right? So that's useful. It's also the map that was there, and it's the same as before. You essentially had that panel within a panel, so you can work there, and then you can restore it back as well into the info pane. So we think that's kind of useful because it gives people flexibility, and they can move around and get to use of this, because this is, it's just not, Enlighten is not just a map viewer. It's a drill down with all the data and everything, and you've got the same editing rights and everything that is essentially the same that you've had before. So that's why I said if you knew how to use the advanced form, the show info is going to be a piece of cake. The other stuff is search is the same. Quick plot, a little different on quick plot. That's the same concept. And so if you go and look here, and I'll come back. Yeah, let me work down this. So there is still the basic info form. It's a little improved, but it's essentially what comes default with Map Guide. There are a couple of tweaks. Like here, for example, if you wanted to find all layers with the word node in them, you could filter that. You've got water nodes, sewer nodes. It's the usual collapse, turn on, toggle on and off. You can go there. So I'll just close that. I'll come back to it. The next one is to add layers. This is where, and what we've used here is the default dialog from Map Guide. And so maybe in future releases, we'll pull some of this out. But you can go in, you can actually load a shapefile and display it dynamically in this session only. You can add URL-based layers. You can manage layers here by adding and putting them in. You can also go in and change your external provider. Now, the ones listed here are set up in Maestro. You can go in and actually set them up in the backend as admin. So you could say, I want nothing. So that would be like so. Or you wanted OpenStreetMap, or if this is another free one. So this is Esri's World Imagery. And so this is loading up a WMS, WFS tile. You see the tiling going on. And it's very rapid on all of them. So it's the same technology, OpenStreetMap. You can, in fact, also, using the map guide functions, create your own tiles on vector data. So if you have a bunch of vector data and you want to just have it as a rapid backdrop, this is now an option as well. So a very useful set of functions there that you can use. So that's that guy. I did mention the task pane. It's the same. You can put in the quick links is the same. All of this is controlled through the admin backend. So admin backend, exactly the same. No change there except a couple of functional improvements, but the UI and everything there remains the same. The only difference here is the admin function. So user connection, the settings, the red line notifications, system notifications and speed, all the stuff that an admin would set up before is there. Red lines is the same, it's just on an icon here. With help, what we've done is put online help. You saw that right on the landing page. It's embedded inside of the product there. And then logout is there. So essentially we've got all of that going on. This is all the same. Endplot is there. Select and deselect. Manage selections is here. Bookmarks. And so these are self-explanatory. Some of these are some of the icons we've added in, and we follow the material design principles, and we've put them in there so that you can look at them and run through that. So let me actually go, and I want to zoom back a little bit and see how far we can go back to that, because I actually want to get to a specific spot. And so I've still got the selection set. I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to continue to zoom back until the beginning of the session. So it goes way back through what you were wanting there. All right, so I'm sort of wanting to go to this area. You can zoom to extents. You can zoom to all selected. That one's kind of useful. Pan is the same. Measure, we've improved that a little bit. You can go in with different options, and you can go in and start measuring, and you can set up that stuff. It's somewhat similar, and so you'll see that build out, and off you go. So you can see all of those. So let's clear that, end it. I'm not going to go through all the functions. The profiles is the same. The layer profiles, if you have any, you'll have them there. This is a function for an inset map. There's actually a little caret down here. It's the same as hitting, and that'll then put you in a position. If you set your min max well within your data, you're going to get that preview map come up, and you can change some of those settings. The other thing is, and I'll talk about it, is we've added the support for geoscans. And I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint here and look at it. So we've gone through pretty much all of these. And with geoscans, it's something that if in Munsis you've gone in and put in what we call a geoscan, which is basically embed a PDF or a TIFF into Munsis on the Munsis map, what we've done is also allow you to, so if you had a set of these, you can go in and in Munsis use the off-the-shelf menu pick, place this and put it with a line and scale in its place, and then you can do heads-up digitizing. What we've added in Enlighten is the ability to take that information, create the underlay raster, and then functionality-wise go into Enlighten and turn it on. So if you took any one of these plans and you'd laid it out, you can actually go in and see where those were put in Munsis. So each of these would be a page. And you can see here they've essentially probably followed a project along. And then you can turn that on and off. So here's, and I'll show you this one live right in a minute right now. But it gets kind of messy, so there's the challenge of managing all of that. But this one's literally got hundreds of these things. And I'll actually show you that one right now. So let's show you live. So in the layers, we've added in the geoscan images here. This is the live one you were seeing. If I turn it on, you see all these, and I just zoomed to this spot here. Every one of these little boxes, if I select one, like that one there, select tool should be active. If I select that one there, you can see it there. Notice also, just to carry on from those tooltips, inside of the tooltip, and let's actually I'll deselect. Let's go over any of these. I can go and put in inside the tooltip. So there's a whole lot we can do in tooltips. And that hasn't really changed, except we've put in access to a few of these functions. The first one is load that georeference as an underlay. And so you can do that right here. I can just, because the mouse is over that space, it's got essentially the GID of that particular feature, and I can load it. So what it's doing now is it's gone in and it's pulled this up, but you can see that actual plan is in situ loaded. And so this is then using that Munsis function. So you see there's fire hydrant. And now one of the things, when you're using polygon areas and you have the tooltips on, it's quite a pain, okay? And we know that. So you'll see as I move around, I'm trying to show you this hydrant, but I keep getting this tooltip keep coming up. And so sometimes you want to turn that off. So there is a function here. This is a new one to show or hide tooltips. So I can click that and now it's gone. You see that? And now I can relax a little bit. There's also, by the way, another functionality on tooltips. If I go to this user thing here on the task pane, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but there is a whole lot of settings in here. And we've also got some settings. You'll notice this is reduced a lot. But in Map Guide, these are essentially the map guides, except for that geoscan one. And if you go here, you can actually go in and set tooltips. So this is the default, which is the one we used to. As you move around, you see it. And then there's another one that says manual feature tooltips. What that means is you got to click to show, okay? And then this one is enable pan dragging for the select tool. So that's also another function. But let's look at this manual one. If I have it on manual and I turn on the tooltips, when I move my mouse, I get nothing. But if I go onto something and I click there, then the tooltip pops up. See that? Can't really see, so let's move it over a little bit, like there. So what I've done is I've clicked that. This tooltip is then persistent. It doesn't matter where I move. It doesn't go away. I'm happy. So I can go in and click on stuff, right? And get a tooltip that will stay there like that one. So we have various tooltips, and I kind of want to take a little bit of time on that. On this particular setup, we've put in a little bit of effort on the nodes. And so I've got to try and select this node again. And so that's a tooltip that you can see. If I pop there, I get that tooltip. You can go in, by the way, on these things and set something to be not selectable, like the gravity pipes. and then I'll get the node, I think, on a good day maybe. So we can go in and do that. I'll come
Now
back to
there's
that.
another setting for the sensitivity of the node.
Yeah, you can set how many pixels the thing can select on. In fact, what I'm going to do is get this guy out of my life here and set it on there. So, okay, yeah, so there we go. Yeah, it's finally selected it. Is the tooltip on or off? That's the question. There we go. So I'll just set it up, turn that one on. Notice that on this tooltip, we've added a few things. First of all, show info. So you could actually have it so the user can go in and automatically, as they move around without even having turned on show info, they can get this coming up in the tooltip. And then they can drill down by clicking that. So they didn't even have to know you got to open show tooltip, because within the tooltip, we already have the feature name and the location. So we just pick that, we've zoomed to it, but you can load it directly, right? So there's a very easy way then of just setting in your tooltip the show detailed info. So what we're trying to do is get Enlightened so that if you set that up in your tooltips, nobody even has to explain to you that that icon, show detailed info, is that one, and that's how you get more information on something on the map, because it's right in your face. Of course, you can add in extra stuff. You can show something in Street View. It's just a link. I don't know if this one actually has a Street View available. No image available. Okay, so it's obviously a new development, and that's fine. And so you get that time. The functionality still worked in terms of zooming you to, taking you to that. So we can go in and continue to show this information. And all you have to do is click somewhere else where there's nothing, and then that tooltip will get taken away. And so I'm going to go in now and turn the tooltips on, those options, to just the regular one. So now it's interactive. So back to geoscans. Remember, this was aligned in Muncis. We then have functionality in Enlighten to take those PDFs or TIFFs and create an underlay here and use the same rotation. And the neat part about this is you now then have a full-blown backdrop map. So you can see that's where this thing was captured. There's fire hydrant, and it was there. And so we do have, the old Street View. I think this one probably will locate. It's just a slightly different icon. Maybe, I don't know. No Street View imagery there. Huh. You see, it's a live demo, none can it. So the other part about this tooltip is you can go directly to the sheet. So, if you're looking at one, let's go to one that's very much vertical in this setup here. So if you've rotated it and you have ones that are like this, twisting so you can show that as an underlay, and we'll see if that's there. So now you've got that there. It's kind of hard to read because it's all sideways, and so you may want to go in on that and see the original sheet. So you can put that in your tooltip, and if it's got the path right, you just need to check that path. And so it'll load those up, and that basically then gives you a whole lot of functionality for geoscans within Enlighten. So let's go to do a last set of that. I said I would come back to a couple of items. So in this instance, this is a very early phase GIS, folks, and where they've had plans, you'll notice detailed plans that we could use the geoscan underlay, and we've pretty much loaded a number of hundred of these. To make it easy to view, we actually themed them by size. So if I turn on the next size up, you'll see my screen's going to get completely flooded with little bigger red boxes, should I say. And that becomes a challenge. And this is where it's really useful, because if I select a small little window, that intersection is going to select many, many plans, some of which extend. And so that show info ability to be able to highlight which particular one you're on is very useful. So I've got 23 of these. This is the one I currently have selected. You can look through on this and go and walk your way through each of these plans. So we could see maybe I'm interested in the 1985 one over here. And inside of the geoscans on the advanced form, show info now, we can put a hyperlink. So there's the normal hyperlink function, but we've also got this view right here. You can actually link the windows and put that in full view. And so as I now walk through these images, I'll leave it right there just maybe. And then as we walk through some of these images, it's automatically updating that particular window on the side. Like this one here, I'll click on it and you'll see. So now it's automatically going to put that in the full window, which I have on my other screen. So you can walk through and it shows you which one it is. Very useful and a neat piece of functionality right there. So there was that. I had one last thing, I think, to show you, because I'm not going to show you everything. We're just going to show a bit of it. Clear the selection. I mean, what you can see is if you know your way around Enlighten, you really, the show info and the access to that has changed. The use of the Enlighten toolbar and the advanced toolbar has changed. The functions themselves are the same. The task pane is slightly different. It's not persistent. You can turn it on and off, and you can see, and it's got tools on it. Other than that, it's very much the same. One thing that has improved a bit, I believe, is the quick plot. So let's just turn off these geoscans. They become a problem. And on this base map, I had turned off a few things. So let's just find ourselves a spot. Here's a spot. It's the same in Enlighten, really. As you zoom in, it's turning on features, turning off stuff, etc. I had turned off the building outlines and the parcels in this instance just for clarity because of the geoscans. Thought I'd check parcels. There we go. And so you can come in, and on this thing, one of the things I wanted to show you was the quick plot. So we've put it here. It used to be in a plot on the right mouse button. If you click there, you're going to get this panel and you can go in. It's actually extended. So this is, type something in there. You can put in a title. The page sizes, you can configure that. We kind of include, this is an American customer, so they'll have their stuff. So they'll pretty much do a 17 by 22, I believe. And I'll say it's in landscape mode. And you can show legend. So that's legend, north arrow. The north arrow was there, coordinates was there. Legend was not. And there's a few other options. But basically, if I go in and generate that plot, it's going to pull it in now to the browser, at which point I can save that as a PDF or print it to PDF from there. So this is a fairly heavy render because I've got, a fair chunk of data there, so 230 meg.
Or print it directly to the printer.
Yeah, you can pop it straight to the printer, but you'll see on memory I've popped up a fair chunk of data there. You can go into the advanced options. And so in here, there is a preview where it's at. So let's put the scale here. Yeah, let's go to 1:2500 and see if we can see where it is. Yeah, there it is. That blue box there, let's zoom it in a bit more, do a smaller one. Yeah, you see the box? And I can actually take the box and say, okay, I'm going to plot right there. And maybe I can rotate it because I want to align it with something like that. And at that point, you can hit the generate plot right there. So it should come and pop it right up. So there it is as a document. Download it as a PDF. You get the legend, pop it in. There's the things and all of those items. Here's a few slides. You won't really figure out where it is. It's a college campus somewhere. But they've got a lot of, so this is running in Enlighten 3, sorry, 4 and 5. So you'll notice some of them are the old ones with all of the tooltips. But we put a bit of work in here. See the tooltips? I've got info and then hyperlinks to things like the project documents, the actual plan sets and equipment numbers, so asset management system and imagery. And they've got a little bit of coloring up there to load that up, and then also inside of that. So they've put a fair amount of that in here, and then some of them even have, images. So this is basically the electrical vault, and this is the diagram within the vault and stuff like that. So here you can see we've popped in those tooltips and go straight to the actual plans for document management. This is the one there. And so here you'll see Enlighten 5. So these guys are Enlighten 5, and here's the whole project plan as a backdrop in that context. So just some examples there. Basically, we updated a new platform, new look and feel. Do you need to rebuild your maps? The short answer is no. The advanced forms and searches and plots will all work. Existing maps and layers will work. There is a new layout type, so there's a minor tweak there. And essentially the same, but a whole lot improved functionality. In terms of deployment, very few changes.
So the layout type is that's where the React is coming in. So it's not Ajax, it's a React viewer in a different way how we integrate with it. And then
the online help, I think I showed that.
Okay, so deployment. If you're running an existing setup, should you go on the existing server or should you go on the new server? So obviously there's some upgrades testing to be done. So Windows Server 2019 is no longer supported, so we recommend that you do a 2022 server for that one that we have. Then 16 or 32 gig memory dependent on your data size, number of layers, those type of things, with SSD disks that you would be working in. So your map layer configuration will stay the same, the map will stay the same, but your the Ajax layout is no longer used. That's where the new layer comes in. And then just a bit around the user update training. Now, Colin has showed that we actually provide you videos from the front page that you can
Yeah,
actually
we actually do include that in the product itself. Typically, what
correct.
I'm doing is putting it into the task pane. So the getting started video link there, that's straight to the same as what we put on the landing page. Because if you're using SSO, you never get to that landing page. You go straight here. So you can
Yeah.
put it in there. There's a couple of those, and we can provide example of how to set that URL up. It's no problem.
Okay. Then the next thing is there's the red line mechanism is changing fundamentally. So there'll be a lot of new functionality and exciting functionality coming with that we're working with one of the attendees here. So there's a lot of new additional functionalities around how you integrate redlining into your project. So that's quite exciting for us. That's what we're working on.
So currently the red line is pretty much the same as it was on Enlighten 4.2. So you come up, it pops in the same panel and it works the same. One of the things we've done, and I hope people know this, is there is a notification mechanism and you can set up Munces to see the red line. So here you'll see we've been using it for like questions. You can see that in Munces, and then in Munces you can actually change the attributes there that then changes the display back here. So you can literally have some control. The thing that was looking at is how do we group a set of red lines as an update, and how do we deal with that? So in the current new Enlighten 5 you're looking at here, it's very much familiar as what was there before, but that is an item that we're looking at in our next set of updates.
Yeah, so basically you can make a collection of entities on a red line layer and handle it together as one group of entities that you can work with, and you can then also move them between different projects, etc.
I see there's probably about 6 or 7 customers that I've deployed it at, and the reaction has been, this is pretty easy to switch, and it's been pretty straightforward to run through. Some of those are public facing Enlightens, and it's been very positive. So
The other thing is, if you're looking for a public-facing website, come and talk to us. There's a few exciting things that's happening around that as well. So it's not necessarily the full, but how do I get this data on my website that I can get people to, or my constituents to self-serve?
mm.
So we've got some stuff around that as well then that you can use.
We've been talking about this for a while, and now the real change is we've set the installs and we've actually got a full-blown version of the open source so that it's complete with install. We've improved that as well, so the actual deployment has been very easy, and it's pretty much tried and tested. I mean, I've been running it for at least 6 months, a whole lot of functionality that we've been through. Looked at it every which way, so we're fairly confident on it, and looking forward to you folks getting on board with that and getting the benefits. So thank you. So will it cost you more? No. If you do use map layers, you can get external imagery as well. Obviously, you'd have to pay for that. But OpenStreetMap is now built in. That you can access
Yeah.
other
We,
world
we
imagery
also
as well.
We're also including a map box, but yeah, we give you the ability to actually manage and work with that.
Yeah, so all of this stuff with the OpenStreetMap that gives you a full context map all the time, and performance is really good. All right, let's see. Did we have a question? Janine, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. We have a subscription to Nearmaps here, so just wondering if that can be streamed instead of OpenStreetMaps.
The Nearmap WMS will, as a tile set, should
Yes.
work, yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's probably one of the first things I'll ask when we upgrade later in the year.
Yep.
Yeah. We have some college campuses, kind of like you. And what we've done is we used OpenStreetMap and then popped their vector data for the campus piece embedded inside of OpenStreetMap and retiled that as an XYZ tile set. So you get the performance, but then on campus you get the precision and the completeness of the vector base map imagery. Things like the garden beds and the roads and the paving and the building outlines. All of that become base map, and the zoom in and out is really neat. So, that's an option you can turn on and off too. So anyway, might be interested in that. Good question. All right. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll call it a day and wish you all a good day ahead.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.